They always said my cousin Madison and I were like sisters, inseparable, loyal, born just 6 months apart. But blood isn't loyalty. And family isn't always who shares your last name. My name is Grace Whitmore, and this is the story of how the girl who once braided my hair became the woman who tried to erase my future. We grew up together in rural Vermont on our grandparents' sprawling estate, a cold but elegant farmhouse that had belonged to the Whitmore family for generations. After our parents died in a plane crash when we were kids, her mom and my dad were siblings. Our grandmother raised us. She was strict, private, and sharp as ice. Madison was the favorite, and I always knew it. She was charming, polished, perfect on paper. I was quieter, drawn to books and art, always 3 steps behind in her shadow. But I didn't care. I loved her anyway. At least I thought I did. Our grandmother passed away when we were 25. Her funeral was private, cold, no tears. Madison delivered the eulogy like a press release. I thought we would grieve together, but within a week, she had taken over everything: the estate, the land, the inheritance. When I asked the lawyer about the will, he paused, looked uncomfortable, and said everything had gone to Madison. A clean transfer, he called it. I was stunned. Our grandmother always said she would divide things fairly. We were both her heirs. But Madison told me the will had been updated just 6 months before her death. Grandmother said you weren't responsible enough for land management, she said with a smirk. Something didn't feel right. I flew back to Seattle, heartbroken and broke. But I couldn't let it go. I started digging. It took months, but eventually I got in touch with Margaret Bell, the lawyer who had handled my grandmother's original estate planning for decades. She'd been replaced shortly before grandmother's health began to decline. When I asked why, she said, Madison insisted she take things in a more modern direction. Margaret hadn't even known the will had been changed. That was my first clue. My second came when I requested a copy of the updated will through the county archives. What I received was perfect. Too perfect. No edits. No scanned inconsistencies. No witness notes. Just a clean PDF with a timestamp and Madison's digital signature as a witness. But there was no signature from my grandmother on the notarization page, just her typed name. That's illegal. A will requires a physical signature, witnessed and dated. I contacted a legal forensics specialist through a whistleblower legal blog I followed. He examined the metadata of the PDF and confirmed what I suspected. The will had been created on Madison's home IP address just 5 weeks before grandmother's death. I kept all the evidence. Then I waited. Madison had been preparing to sell part of the estate to a luxury developer who wanted to build a wellness retreat. The land had never been sold outside the family. That's when I made my move. I filed a formal inheritance fraud petition through the state court and submitted all evidence to the Whitmore Family Trust's Oversight Board. The news hit the local press within days. Whitmore heiress accused of forged will to seize entire estate. Madison claimed I was mentally unstable and jealous. But I stayed quiet. I didn't need to scream, I had the documents. During the hearing, the digital forensics team proved the will had not only been created by Madison, but backdated and signed posthumously with a forged script font. The judge was furious. The original will, which split the estate evenly, was reinstated. Madison was charged with felony fraud and document forgery. I inherited my rightful half of the Whitmore estate, including the North House, the smaller guest home that my grandmother used for art. I turned it into a sanctuary for young women escaping controlling family dynamics. Madison lost everything. The buyers pulled out. Her name was blacklisted in local circles, and she fled to Arizona to start over. But lies don't rebuild themselves that easily. I don't hate her. But I don't forgive her either. I keep a framed copy of the original will in my study, above a painting I made of the estate during fall, leaves turning red, the air full of endings. Because sometimes, family isn't who shares your childhood. It's who fights for your future when no one else will. If you believe justice isn't about getting even, but about reclaiming what was always yours, hit like and subscribe. We tell real feeling revenge stories every day, where truth outlives betrayal and silence never wins.